All right, welcome to another live episode of GeekOutdoors.com. Let me quickly get set up real quick. Let me see. Okay, let's make sure the live chat is running here. And it's almost the end of 2017, so hopefully you're getting all your gym membership plans ready for January, as most people will. Let's make sure that works. Okay. Yep. Looks like it is running. Okay. Snap that. Let's go ahead again. Okay. Nope. Boy. Well, it's got to really make this a lot easier to run. Oh man, I think if YouTube really wants to compete in live, they have to make this easier. They had a great thing with Google Hangouts. I know I've mentioned this before, but it's really not as user-friendly nowadays. So let me see. It won't go to this one. Okay. Hopefully it'll work now. Okay. And let's go ahead and get this live chat. Okay. Okay, so it looks like that's finally working. So if you are having any issues while you're watching this, please leave that in the comments or in the live chat below. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about the topics this week. And it's related to, let's just say, really excellent marketing and also opportunities, okay? So the first thing we're going to be talking about is how Apple is apologizing, okay? And then secondly, we're going to talk about Amazon skills money, and I'll get into more of what that means in a little bit. And then finally, we're going to talk about Linux distros, and specifically Linux distros that you really enjoy and then why. Okay, so let's first start with Amazon, or actually no, not Amazon, Apple apologizing to customers. Okay, so if you didn't know, about a week ago almost, I did do an episode on this. Apple actually had battery related issues, and what that meant was Apple has been sending out updates that would purposely slow down older iPhones. And this is something a lot of Apple users have complained about in the past, where Apple is purposely slowing down their older devices so that they would force people to actually upgrade to a brand new iPhone. And Apple's response was expected, is that we're doing this to benefit you. In this sense, they were concerned about battery issues because the old iPhones had older batteries, and so by them releasing these updates and slowing down your computer, it prevented less issues with the battery. But as people who are in the tech field, or people who are geeks, you know, we know that that's really not the case, you know, and if that was really the case, then why don't you just do replaceable batteries? Okay, and so the updates that come, of course, if you have older hardware, the updates are not going to work as well on the older hardware. However, for you to actually slow down the machine, which means basically it's going to be unusable at some point, you know, that's not a better option because of the battery issue. So I really feel still that the software updates forcing the actual machine to go down, it wasn't really to benefit the whole battery issue. Okay, I really think it was, as we've probably talked about before, and other people who are geeks know, there's this thing called planned obsolescence, and there's a lot to say with that. Okay, and so that's what I'm pretty sure that was about underneath it all. Okay, but at the same time, you know, if you do have the latest and greatest, of course you're going to get the best overall experience, and so I do see some merits to what they're saying. And so because of that, a lot of people were outraged, and there were even lawsuits filed as well. Now I really feel that it wouldn't matter how many lawsuits came, because number one, Apple is a smart business. They would not be as successful as they are if they weren't. Okay, so it's not like they just thought about this yesterday. Okay, and then secondly, and I've talked about this many times before, I think the most powerful thing that Apple has, and as a matter of fact, any business or even non-businesses have, is marketing, and specifically brand marketing. And let me show you what I mean by that. And so if you've been keeping up with Apple for a while, you know this isn't the first time that they have had issues with the public. Okay, if any of you remember AntennaGate, or issues with the iPhones actually shutting off, or there's like Google Maps, when they were trying to replace Google Maps, and a lot of people were mad about that, or even removing the headphone jack. Okay, so there have been many things, but Apple isn't the only company. You know, if you think about Microsoft Windows, Windows 10, the Xbox One when it first came out, where you would have to always have always on, with Google, whenever they had some of their services on by default, but they didn't tell people. Okay, so there's many different areas, and even in the open source community with Mozilla as well, with just recent privacy issues. And so all of this is nothing new. I think if you have any business, especially a big business, you're always going to have these types of problems. And so how you handle that is through marketing. And Apple, above any other company, probably spends more money on marketing than any other company. And it shows, because whenever they have these type of problems, they respond to it in a way that no other company is able to do. So the whole thing of the reality distortion field. So let's see how they marketed their message to respond to these criticisms. And then also let me show you how they were able to actually make people agree with them, and which they are experts at. Okay, so because of the whole battery issue, what Apple did was first tell people that it was to help them. Okay, so it's okay if your device slows down, because we're trying to help you. And then right after that, what they followed it up with is actually I guess like a little gift or present for you having these slowdown issues. And the thing that they're giving is a few things. First, they're giving a official apology, okay, which it really is an apology. And the second thing is that they are gratefully giving you a battery replacement discount. And so instead of you spending $79 to replace your batteries because they slowed down your phone, now you could actually bring it in and get it replaced for only $29 instead of $79. That's great. So they're allowing you to spend more money. And also they're saying on the next release of iOS, they're going to give you more features so that you could track the health of your particular phone. And so with that, if you actually look at all the news outlets, you know, Apple's marketing is going hardcore. It's really getting into overdrive, because those same people who writing articles, specifically in the whole news outlets, they were hating on them, or basically in this case, they were getting a lot of clicks, getting a lot of traffic, because it was a very controversial subject. And then once the reality distortion field marketing came out, those same ones are actually praising Apple for being honest, you know, for really thinking about the consumers, okay? And so that's all part of a brand marketing strategy, okay? This is something that all companies do, and this is something that all companies have to do to save their brand image, because at the end of the day, that is the most powerful thing that any business has, is their brand marketing. Hardware, software, all that stuff, it doesn't matter at the end of the day, because if you have a very strong brand, then people will buy from you, they'll trust you, and they will share their great experiences with other people, even if they're having bad experiences. Because when people think about Apple, there are certain things that they think about, and that's not by mistake. They think about quality, they think about design, they think about this easy to use entire ecosystem. You know, they even think about the fact that they are wealthier or of a higher stature because they have an Apple product. And that's all psychological, and that's what marketing does for you. You know, I'm a big proponent of marketing, and so brand marketing, no company does it better. No matter what happens, Apple has an amazing marketing team, and they also have a very powerful legal team. besides all their technical engineers and everybody else involved. And so Apple already planned for all these things. They already knew that there was going to be backlash, and it's not like they just came up with this yesterday. They already had a strategy in place that they were going to push out software anyway, and they were going to do something about this. In this case, they're going to give you a discount. So, okay, so people are on there. Hey, good morning, Villain Millennium, or I'm just going to call you VM. Thanks for joining. And then Lance is on there as well. Good morning, Lance. Thanks for joining. The Berserk movie is in the background. Yes. VM says it's a sex scene, a metaphor about Apple effing their users. I guess. I didn't even realize that was in there. Good morning, Lance. And VM says, well, that depends on which side of the Atlantic you are. Yeah. And so I know, like, I'm probably preaching to the choir in this case when it comes to Apple and their marketing, but I just think, like, a lot of times when these type of issues come in the whole tech space, us as geeks and nerds, normally we get super duper emotional because we're really passionate about the type of things that we have. So hopefully whatever that showed in there wasn't too bad. But yeah, so it was something that Apple planned. They knew that this was going to happen, and so they took the appropriate measures. And it's not the whole reality distortion field, it's just really excellent marketing, okay? So think about it in this case, okay? So they already knew there was going to be controversy, right? And so they let all the controversy stir up. And this is my thoughts, by the way. I'm not exactly sure. I don't work at Apple marketing. But they knew that this was going to come up, and they knew that this was going to cause controversy. So how do you capitalize on that? Well, you get free marketing. So if you look at anything that's ever happened with any of these companies, Apple, Microsoft, even Linux, any business, controversy is good because controversy gives you free marketing. Now, as you probably know, I do marketing on the back end. I do digital marketing. And so for you to pay for traffic, that is the most expensive thing. For any business, any institution, paying for traffic is the most expensive thing. But getting free traffic, that's the best. Whether it's good news or even bad news. And companies that are smart and have great marketing, it's better to use bad news. Because bad news sells, good news doesn't. Okay, that's the reality. Okay, if you look at any of your news feeds, anything else, majority of times, 95% is going to be bad news because that's by design. It's great marketing. Always put out bad news more than good news. Okay, because most people don't care about good news. They actually want to hear bad news. So if you look at tabloids, anything on news, just look. It's all bad news, okay? And so with that, Apple capitalizes on that. And so because they brought out this controversy, they got a ton of free marketing. A ton of free marketing, which they probably wouldn't have got at this level, okay? And so after that, of course, then you have the pitch, okay? People might not think of it a pitch, but it is a pitch. It's a sales pitch. So the sales pitch with Apple and any other company, actually, they do the same thing, trust me. It's just that Apple does it better than anybody. So the sales pitch is, hey, we're sorry, and look, now we're going to do something for you. And then people feel better about it. It's like, whoa, Apple's apologizing to me. They care. Marketing. So psychologically, you already feel bad for hating them. And then now you feel like you should give something back to Apple. And that's exactly when they come in with like, hey, look, you can get a free battery replacement discounted from $79 to $59. Or no, I'm sorry, $79 to $29. That's a $50 discount. And plus, in a brand new free software update, we're going to give you a health meter or some features like that. Okay? So now people are thinking, wow, this company really cares about me. And look, I get a discount on battery replacements. So think of how many more billions of dollars they're going to make off of these battery replacements. Just think about that. $29, how many billions of people use iPhones? That's a ton of money. And they're not only going to buy battery replacements, they'll probably buy additional accessories, and a large percentage will probably even just upgrade to the new iPhone as well. And so that's genius marketing. That's how you do marketing. And so, and if you don't think that's what's happening, look at any news, go on the news, get on the internet, I guarantee you, first, it's always going to be bad news because you get free traffic. You get more clicks, you get more comments. Just look at any of the videos that I do on YouTube that actually has flame war type videos or clickbaity type stuff. You can look all around. That's just on YouTube. But if you look on a website as a whole, look at anything that goes to the top of traffic, I could guarantee you it's going to be bad news because bad news sells, okay? Or anything related to that, controversy, anything, okay? And then secondly, sell them, pitch them. And so people are spending billions of dollars without even realizing it. And so that is the power of marketing. That is the power of Apple's marketing. And in this case, that is the power of the Apple apology. So the next time any company, whether it's Apple, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, it does not matter. Whenever they are coming out with an apology, it is part of their marketing strategy. Okay, it is. And so a lot of times it is not accidental, it's planned. And if they do have something that was accidental, they will have a strategy for it. They just don't come out with something right away. They have a team meeting, of course, a big team meeting in this case, with their marketing strategist and their PR, which is all marketing. And then they work with what other areas that they need to get this done. The technical team, the support team, and so forth. But it always starts at the top with marketing first. Okay? So, that was my, my kind of long-winded rant, but also in a lot of ways, my thought on what's really going on underneath. And so, like I said, just kind of look at what on the internet, see what you see. It's all built to get traffic. And like I said, bad news and controversy is the best way for you to get free traffic, okay? And so we'll see what else Apple does, but I can guarantee you if they do anything else, and this is smart, they're gonna offer more stuff so that you could buy more stuff. And so you'll see more than likely, if you look at their quarterly earnings, you'll probably see a uptick of their earnings from overall earnings from this. You'll see. So let me see. VM says, who really cares about Apple? Everything that they produce actually sucks. Well, VM, I think for geeks and nerds, yeah, you're probably right. But then again, and this is my opinion, a lot of geeks and nerds do not look at the business stuff. That's my opinion. They look at the technical stuff. And Apple loves that because you're not their primary demographic. The primary demographic with most companies is the mass consumer. And once again, as I said earlier, the most important thing for any company or institution is your brand marketing. So when you have a very powerful brand, which is worth untold amounts of money, you could do whatever you want, okay? And if you don't really think that's important, just think about anything that you buy. You're gonna be thinking about the brand, okay? And that's not by accident. Or even if you go on YouTube, think about somebody like Logan Paul. How is that person is making over he's probably making over 30, 40 million a year off of his brand. So it's not the technical stuff. It's not the content quality. It's not the product quality. It's not any of that. It's the brand. So if you have a very, very powerful brand, let me give you another example, Kim Kardashian, the Kardashians. They have an absolutely powerful brand, but they'll probably make more money than any of us all together, okay? And so, Lance, the mass media loves Apple to get more free advertising than anyone. Yes. Or even if you think about something like, at least in the US, Donald Trump, right? Gets tons of traffic. And so a lot of people are making money off of it, and so is him, okay? And so, let me see, Tech Weir's comment. Not that much, okay. That's why I designed my customer's PC. Yeah, VM, and you know, like a custom PC, you know, not many people pay for people to do that as much anymore, okay? Unless, once again, unless you're a geek and nerd, you know, I've been doing that for a long time myself. I get it, you know, but if you think about the whole bigger picture, it's the masses are who you want to target because they bring you in the most money, okay? So your niche, hardcore people, they're not the most important. They're not. And that's the reality. Just look at any company, look at any of their quarterly earnings, look at any of their demographic information. The majority is going to be masses, okay? That's unequivocal. the really important thing about the niche demographic, for example, if you are a hardcore geek and nerd, you love PC building, you know everything about Linux, you're like an amazing programmer, you are not their primary demographic. What they'll do is they'll use you, not use you, but they'll actually go to the niche people, the people who know a lot, they're very passionate about it, and they'll kind of use them as a marketing test. Okay, and also to get ideas and stuff too. So a lot of times, you know, like for example, there might be a beta release of a software product or game. Guess what? The people who are really going to be into that are the really, the hardcore passionate people, the ones who are not mass consumers. Just think about if you're playing video games or you are a developer, you have this tool that you're using, and because you use it and you pay for it, or maybe you contribute a lot to it, they're going to give you beta tests first. Like for example, when I do my digital marketing, because I use Google AdWords a lot, they give you beta stuff that the masses won't get. And so that way they get free testers. They get people to work basically for free. And then they've done a lot of the testing and bug fixes there, and these are from the hardcore, and so now they can deliver a less buggy version to the masses, and then they'll be able to get new ideas from the hardcore people, because those people actually know pretty much everything about it, you know, and so they're able to get more ideas. So just think about it that way, okay? Because yeah, so yeah, VM's asking who's Logan Paul. Well, you can look it up. Just think about like how big PewDiePie is, and like I said, it's not the content. It's the marketing, the brand marketing, and a lot of people really enjoy his stuff. But then again, you know, it's the brand marketing. You know, this young kid's worked really hard to build up his brand. Okay, so just look up some videos on it. He makes a absolute ton of money. I think he makes more than PewDiePie, as a matter of fact. And for them, they run it as a business. And I've talked about this many times before. A lot of people don't really realize the potential that YouTube and all of these have, because it's free marketing. It's free marketing, the best marketing that you could get. Okay, and so let's go ahead and move over to the second bit of news. So the second bit of news is the Amazon Alexa skills making money. Okay, so I saw this interesting article on CNET, and what they were talking about is the new Amazon Alexa economy. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the Amazon Alexa, it's basically a smart device. Okay, it looks like a cylindrical device. You could talk to it, you could ask questions, and it'll answer back, but at the same time it does other things, you know. And we've seen a lot of these smart devices, you know, with the Amazon Echo, Alexa, we've seen the Google Home devices, and also the Apple devices. Yeah, I mean, if you think about even like Siri, even your Google Assistant, all those things, they're all part of that same type of device and ecosystem, okay? And so, and I mentioned this before, it's all based upon artificial intelligence underneath. But there's also a huge business opportunity there for companies and individuals. In this case, for the Amazon Alexa, there's things called skills, okay? And so skills are basically additional features, okay? But if you think about it technically, it's just programs, new programs that you could develop for the Amazon Alexa that could give you additional functionality. Okay, so why this is important, and I have mentioned this before, that artificial intelligence is the next biggest thing for the whole world economy. That's where everything's going to be. And so all of these companies, tech companies, know that, and that's why they're pushing so much of these home devices. Okay, if you've seen a lot more advertising, at least online, for the Amazon Echo products, and you've seen Google. You know, they have released a larger you know, AI device, home device line. You've probably seen the new Google Minis, which are $29, and so they're all coming. Apple is going to be there. They are technically kind of there already, even with the Apple TV, but they're going to be releasing, if I remember correctly, I think it was like the Apple Home or something like that. I don't think it's called Apple Home, but anyway, they are releasing their own smart device for the home as well, and I'm positive Facebook is going to be in there somewhere. I'm not sure yet, but they're going to get in this game as well. And so with the Amazon skill, this is what's cool, because, okay, so here's a some numbers that CNET has. Okay, so so about 2 years ago, the market for the Alexa skills, it wasn't worth that much. I think it was worth, they were saying $500,000. So what that means is whenever as a business or individual, the whole market for skills, adding additional Amazon Alexa skills to these products, was worth about $500,000 2 years ago. Okay, now there's more than 25,000 skills available, and the market expected to hit $50 million in 2018. Okay, so this is powerful, and once again, these companies knew that. That's why they're pushing out all these products, and they're getting all these AI services on your phones, on your computers, anywhere they can, because this is an awesome way for them to not only learn about your using habits, your user habits, but they can also sell you more stuff. That's, at the end of the day, that's what they're gonna do. It's using artificial intelligence to, once again, market to you. I can't stress enough how important marketing is. And so they're going to use this AI so that they could provide you more marketing. And with that, with the whole skills area, there's a whole new area where you could make a ton of money. Okay, and they compared it to the mobile app economy, because you know all our phones have mobile apps. You know, we have our app stores, the Google Play Store, and so when they first started, they weren't making a lot of money. And then Apple basically showed that people could produce apps for these mobile devices and make a lot of money. And now the mobile app economy has sales of over $50 billion. And the AI, specifically starting with Alexa skills, it's going to grow bigger than that. Okay, and so this is a huge opportunity. And these are things that I see. And I share a lot of this because it's not only relevant to us as geeks and the tech community, but the whole business end of it, it all affects us, okay? And so if you know this stuff, let me give you an example why this is important. I am not a developer, okay? But if you're a geek, you know how to develop, my brother's a developer, then if you see this stuff of what businesses are doing, then you could actually start creating Alexa skills right now, learn how the whole platform works, learn how the development environment, learn the programming language to go into it, and then learn the business end of the Alexa skills. How do you get paid? Are there any type of restrictions? Are there affiliate programs? And then if you combine all that, by the time this Alexa skill market gets huge, you will be part of that initial part, and you're going to be making a ton of money. So just think about the mobile app world. If you were able to get in early, obviously you need technical skills, but you really need business skills after that, because you need to understand how all of this works, and then you need to learn how to monetize it. Okay, and so that's why that's important. From a technical part, if you have the skills, you're a developer, I think this is a great opportunity, because Amazon's not going anywhere. Okay, and they have a ton of money, and so and then also Amazon, unlike any other company, they have a buying intent. All their products have a buying intent. And in terms of the digital marketing world, that is the #1 thing that you want. You want buying intent customers. And Amazon, more than any other company, is the best. There's only one other company that does that, I think, as well, is Alibaba, Jack Ma in China. So that is the only other one. All these other companies, you don't go there initially with a buying intent, but Amazon you do. And so that's a huge opportunity. And so, okay, so Lance is saying, my brother bought an Echo for my elderly mother. She hates it and refuses to talk to it. LOL. Yeah, Lance. You know, that's so funny because I don't use my AI on my devices because I know what they're doing with it, okay? Because from a marketing, if you do digital marketing, and I talk about this a lot, but if you are interested in digital marketing, I will leave a link in the description area below. There's a course that I took. It is 4 free videos, but there's a course if you're interested. And also, I'm going to leave another playlist to my YouTube playlist as well. And this kind of goes into this whole thing, which I think is important, you know, because as geeks and nerds, I think that we can take advantage of these things, okay? So that's one of the big reasons why I talk about this. Not only do I enjoy it, but I think as geeks, we have skills or we have the mindset, because most geeks and nerds, we love to learn, right? But the majority of times, the whole business part of it is not really included. Okay, and so if we include our technical skills along with the business stuff, then we could like have it both ways. Okay, so that's why I talk about it a lot, because if you are a geek and nerd, these are like the best times for you to do something entrepreneurial wise, because every single business, every single institution needs technology. And as you know, technology is growing even faster than it ever has before. Even like the masses, they need to learn some type of technology skills. And now, with the whole internet and everything that surrounds it, there's just so many opportunities for geeks. I mean, it's absolutely mind-blowing. Okay, so let me give you some easy examples. Okay, some of it is exactly what I do, but also exactly what I just talked about earlier. But some of it you already know. For example, if you're a web developer, yeah, you are in high demand. You're in high demand. It's not uncommon for somebody to go to a coding boot camp, or they could even self-teach themselves, which takes a little bit longer. And for them to go out there and in a few months be able to land a job, a freelance gig, or maybe for some people they might want to start their own business, but it's not hard for them to find an opportunity where they could make like 6 figures or close to it within a year or two. I can't think of any other areas where you're able to get that quick of a turnaround. Okay, so some people might not think that's quick, but think about a standard college degree, at least here in the United States. It's going to be 4 to 5 years. You're probably going to spend about, including your books and everything, maybe $40,000 to $50,000. Okay, you'll have student debt, and by that time you'll have a college degree that more than likely is going to be obsolete. Okay, unless you are a doctor or a lawyer or something. Okay, but when it comes to technology skills, things change so fast, which means you have a competitive advantage, because unlike other types of fields, college degrees, those don't change much, but technology does. And so even if you have like 20 years of experience, if you don't keep up with it, you could be obsolete. Okay, and so in this case, if you are a geek, you have technical skills, and then you could learn some of the business skills, specifically marketing, and sales, then you could take advantage of all this. Okay, and so this is why I think it's so important that I talk about these things regularly, because I feel like as geeks, we actually, if you look at the Forbes, geeks are at the top of the list. They rule this world. Okay, that's not by accident. And so this same thing could happen for pretty much all of us. Okay, and so that's why I stress things like digital marketing, which is things you see ads everywhere, right? YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all your news feeds, everything, they all have ads. All the websites that you go to, 99% have some type of ads, and every single one of those ads are driven by people like myself or companies. There's a digital marketing behind it. There are people doing PPC, SEM, SEO. Those things are not going away. They're never going to go away because they're marketing. Okay, and then next to the marketing is sales. And so if you ever do anything on Amazon, you're doing Amazon FBA, you're doing a Shopify store, you're doing drop shipping, all of it has marketing and it has sales, because sales is the conversion part of it. Okay, and so if you learn those skills, they'll never be obsolete in terms of they'll always be needed. Okay, and then second thing is the whole brand marketing, which is part of marketing, but it's a different field. Brand marketing is, in my opinion, the most powerful thing you could learn. And that's why YouTube is so important, because I can't think of another platform that will allow you to get potentially billions of views for free. And then at the same time, it's in the best format in the world, which is video. Video is the most powerful format, it's the most easily consumable, and it is the one that a lot of people go back to. And especially now, you got to think about YouTube is a search engine. It's the second largest search engine in the world. And so people, you're going to see more and more, because we're already seeing this in the whole advertising world, more and more companies, more and more of the advertising is heading towards purely all video. Okay, so anyways, so if you learn these skills, okay, and then you kind of keep up with some of this news, if you are a geek, you can take advantage of this. And so if you are a web developer or a developer, I would suggest you look at these Alexa skills. I'm pretty sure my brother, who is a developer, he does web dev. And he also does just standalone development. He can do both. I'm pretty sure this would be a great opportunity for him. And so, hey Shatu, good morning. Thanks for joining. Lance, hi Shatu. Okay, thanks for joining. Okay, so yeah, so if you are interested in Alexa skills, I would recommend you just go to Amazon Alexa skills and kind of see what opportunities there might be. And Amazon, I think it's available in most countries, but some countries it might not be available in. But it's kind of cool. I think right now the way the Alexa skill work is there's not a lot of people that are making a ton of money from it yet, because it is growing. It's growing fast. So a lot of what you have to do here, if you are early adapter, or I call them adapter, but it's technically early adopter. But if you get in early right now, you're gonna be developing skills that you're gonna be giving away for free, much like the mobile app economy did. Okay, it's free, but it's really not, because you're gonna bring them into your ecosystem through branding. Okay, you're gonna create a brand around your skill that you develop, similar to the whole app world, and then you could monetize them later. Okay, and so if you are a developer, I do recommend you look at this. Okay, I don't have any development skills, and so it's not something that I do, but I do sell stuff on Amazon. Okay, and so I know it's extremely powerful. Okay, so let's get into the last thing. Okay, and I'm so glad that VM, Lance, and Shatter are on here, because on the last special live episode I had about a day ago, we spent a lot of time, we had a lot of time talking about Linux distros, okay? Oh, let me answer some of this. Shots say, a friend of mine predicted that YouTube will always soon cause of Twitch. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Shelter, but if you're saying, because Twitch, obviously people who use Twitch, it's an extremely powerful gaming streaming platform, and YouTube tried to compete with YouTube gaming and they got crushed. And if you didn't know, Twitch is actually owned by Amazon as well. Okay, so that's why I recommend you start learning how to make money off of Amazon. You know, in this case it's skills, but there's so many ways you can make money off of Amazon. Okay, and YouTube as a video platform, they're not going anywhere. They have no competition in sight. Okay, for Twitch, for streaming games, they're still the best. Okay, but YouTube is everywhere. The only competitor that I see coming is Amazon again, not through Twitch, but through their upcoming Amazon Video Services platform. It'll be very similar to YouTube, and like I said, I will be uploading videos to Amazon Video once I figure it out. But what's powerful with Amazon Video is, since they are a buying platform, you could sell people on a whole bunch of stuff, way more than YouTube. So I really feel next year, maybe at the end of next year, I feel Amazon Video, I think that's what they call it, Amazon Video platform, or I can't remember. You can look it up. But they will be the second most powerful video platform in the world. That's my opinion. If it's not them, it'll be Facebook. But I really feel Amazon has an advantage. Okay, and they can integrate Twitch in with everything. Okay. Oh, Shatter said, I meant Twitch will replace YouTube soon. No more YouTube. Shatter said daily motion losses performance because of YouTube. Yeah, Shatter, I don't think, Twitch is not going to replace YouTube. As I just mentioned earlier, Amazon has a much bigger strategy, because if you look at just pure numbers, objectively, YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. There's millions of hours uploaded. No other company can compete with them. And if you look at all these platforms, right? It doesn't matter, and I mentioned this before. Look at all your social media platforms. Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram. Facebook owns Instagram. And even on Twitch and everything, right? They don't even produce their own content. People produce it. And I did mention this a few videos ago. YouTube is the only platform that really pays you a lot of money to produce content. The other ones, Dailymotion is like not even there. But then you don't get paid to post on Facebook, do you? Or Instagram, or Snapchat, or Twitter, or even on Twitch, right? But yet you're doing it for free. And so you're creating tons of content for them for free. If you're on Reddit, you're leaving posts, right? That's free content for them. And so they don't even need to pay for content creators, because they get it for free anyway. Okay, and so AFAC Twitch TV's backend is Amazon. Yeah. And so, yeah, Amazon Web Services is another service that they sell. Okay, so I'm sorry. So thank you so much for getting into that discussion with me on those things. But the whole point of it is, get into this and use your geek skills. My recommendation is get into the marketing end. And my personal preference is digital marketing, and also get into the YouTube end. And if you have technical skills, you're a developer or something, try to get into this Alexa skills, because I really think that's going to be powerful. You're going to have these Alexa skill millionaires in a matter of no time, just like you had these mobile app millionaires, okay? So I would definitely get into that early. If you are a geek and you have skills and experience, get into it, okay? And so for the Linux distros, it's always fun to talk about distros. And I'm so glad that we had that live episode, because a lot of people were talking about the distros that they like and why. Okay, so if you watch my channel, you know that I am not a distro hopper. It's been a long time since I've actually distro hopped regular. When I first started using Linux, I distro hopped all the time. It was fun. I was learning a lot of new things. But it's been a while. I just used Linux Mint. After I stopped distro hopping, I stuck with Ubuntu for a long time, and then I found Linux Mint, and I really rarely ever distro hop. Every now and then I might try something like a Kali Linux, or maybe I'll try a KDE Neon or Ubuntu Mate, but it's not long, okay? And so this is why I love talking with other Linux users, because a lot of these other Linux users use many different distros. And so that's why I wanted to talk about, at least in this episode, since we're ending off 2017, Linux distro love, your favorite Linux distros of 2017. And so I'm going to start off with myself. And if anybody else gets in, then that's actually what I would love. If people don't have their own distros, then I'll continue talking about other distros. But like I said, I'm not a distro hopper. So let me talk about my favorite distro. And obviously, it's no surprise, it's Linux Mint. Okay, and I know this is going to sound like a broken record for a lot of people who are familiar with Linux Mint, who have used Linux Mint for a long time. But for anybody who's brand new to Linux, in the whole Linux world, there's multiple different versions of Linux. They call them distributions, okay? And so you choose which ones you like the best. It's not like Microsoft Windows or Apple Mac, where you pretty much have only one version. I know there's the corporate version, the business version, and the home version, but they're pretty much the same, okay? But in the whole Linux world, it's not like that. Okay, so my favorite Linux distribution is Linux Mint, and the reasons why is, first, it's stable. Okay, me personally, over the years, I have not used a more consistently stable distribution than Linux Mint. And I absolutely love that, okay? Secondly, it's easy to use, okay? And I give all the credit to the people at Linux Mint, the Linux team, and also the huge community that surrounds it, okay? And just a plug, if you do love Linux Mint or any of your other distros, please go support them, okay? Go to their website, donate, or help them out, okay? So that's the second thing. It's easy to use, because if you actually see Linux Mint, the interface is very familiar. So if you're coming from a Windows world and even from a Mac world, it shouldn't be too hard for you to get around, okay? And then the third thing that I love about Linux Mint is the fact that it just works. And I know this is using a whole Apple quote, but it does, because unlike other distributions, at least especially when I started using Linux early on, you didn't have everything. Like some of them didn't have a Microsoft Office. In this case, it was Open Office at the time. Some of it wasn't installed. Codecs were missing, and programs that you would think would be in there, they weren't in there. Okay, multimedia players, things like that. Okay, but with Linux Mint, like if you don't install anything, other programs, and you just use it right off the bat, I would say like 95% of people, especially general users, would be happy with that, because it's got everything you need. It's got all your Office applications. It's got all your multimedia, photo editing programs, great accessories like screenshot and stuff. So all of that's already built in. And for the majority of people, it just works right out of the box. You don't have to spend a lot of time. okay, even downloading drivers and stuff like that, okay, for the general public, okay, for a lot of the masses, and I'm not talking about like hardcore technical people or PC gamers with specific GPUs and stuff, okay, I'm just talking about the majority people. So those are the three main things why I love Linux Mint, okay, it's stable, it's easy, well, I'm sorry, it's very familiar, easy to use, and then it's got everything that you need. It works right out of the box, okay? So there's many other things, but those are the three main things. And so, so with all of that being said, it is difficult for me, or I just don't want to like jump around to another distro, because the thing with distro hopping is that if you have the time and that's what you enjoy doing, absolutely, and that's what I love about Linux. But if you're I'm a general user, okay, I'm like part of that general user masses, okay. I just want to use my computer, that's it, you know. But the difference with having a Linux distro versus something like a Microsoft Windows or even an Apple Mac is that, especially if I'm using Microsoft Windows, which I do have on here, I have Windows 10 in a virtual machine, it gets in the way of me using my computer. Okay, whether that would be marketing, they're marketing to me while I'm using my computer, they're spying on me, there's a lot of updates, there's pop-ups, there's, I don't know, viruses, malware. I mean, and the viruses and malware isn't as bad as it was before, but you get the point, okay? There's lots of distractions when I'm using my operating system, and especially like something like, hey, I got another Windows update and it has to reboot and I have to wait. Okay, it's things like that. It annoys the crap out of me and I absolutely hate it. And then over in the Mac world, it is a lot better experience. So I'd use both, okay? And so in the Mac world, it is way better experience than a Windows in my opinion. However, I feel it's very limited, okay? And so as you all know, if you are in the whole Apple ecosystem, then they love controlling things, you know, and that's by design. And so I feel very limited by Apple, and also Apple's products, they're really meant only to work well with other Apple products and services. Okay, so they don't play nice with other things. Okay, whereas Windows, it works with pretty much everything. Okay, so but when I use Linux, in this case Linux Mint, I just use my operating system. That's it. It's just me and my operating system. It does exactly what I want it to do. And I love that. And I have none of the limitations that I have with the Apple's Mac OS. Okay? So that's why I love first Linux in general, but also Linux Mint. Because it provides the stability that I love. Because if you've been using Linux for a while, not everything's always stable. You know, which sucks. It's hard for you to use it every day when something breaks randomly, right? And so, and also, not everything's included with every distro, okay? And so I'm talking about in general sense, right? And then also the support and community. Not every single distro has a larger support as something like the Linux Mint community. So meaning that there's going to be more updates. If you had issues or problems, there's a huge community base which you can go to, okay? And obviously there's a lot of YouTube videos on that distro because it's extremely popular, okay? And so that's why I love using Linux Mint. That is why it's my favorite distro, and I don't think anything's gonna eclipse that for a while. Okay, so all right, let's see about what other people are saying. So shots are saying free, but those corporate rats are selling your data and gives you their so-called free service. After all, it's a good business. Yeah, Shatcher, exactly. It's free. Nothing's ever free. And you know, I've talked about this before. They can't provide it for free anyway because they have to pay for their employees, they have to pay for their business, and so yeah, it's not free, okay? There has to be some type of way for them to make money, okay? Otherwise, they can't stay in business, okay? But you as the consumer, as the geek, you get to choose which free service that you want to use. And for the majority of us, we're going to be using Linux and open source tools, and then if we can, we will definitely support them and the entire community, okay? And so Lance is saying, I've been using Mint for a while now. I don't have any plans to change this. It works so well for me. Yeah, Lance, I feel the same way. So shots are saying, I used to be LM user, but stopped using it after that web hacked and their negligence of security issues. But like the LMDE, I'm mostly building my own from mini ISO or choose an independent main issue. Oh, that's awesome, Shatter. And what Shatter is referring to here is last year, Linux Mint's website was actually hacked. Okay, I guess the section of their website that actually had the ISO file, it was compromised, and so people were able to put things in it. Okay, probably malware for sure. And so I don't think the repositories or anything were compromised. It's just the fact that that website, that link to the ISO, and correct me if I'm wrong, Shakti, but that link to the ISO, that was compromised, and so the repositories and everything were fine. And so this is funny because it actually goes back to brand marketing, because whether or not you want to admit it or not, each one of these Linux distros has a brand. Okay, you think about certain things when you think about it. So whenever something like this happened, and this is the first time that I remember in all the years of using Linux Mint that something this bad has happened, and it really hurt their brand for a while. Okay, and I really gotta praise the people who run and manage these Linux websites and these distributions, because these are not multi-billion-dollar companies, and security in the modern world is extremely complex. You could be anywhere in the world and you will hear news of big companies, government institutions getting hacked all the time. And so for something like these people who are managing these sites and developers and everything around it, they're a small group, most of them, they're all working for free in their free time. And for them not to have as many security compromises, especially in the whole Linux open source world, the whole community, that's absolutely mind-blowing to me. I don't know enough about security to understand how in the world Linux as a whole is able to keep their repositories, keep all their GitHub accounts, all their dev trees from getting hacked all the time. I still don't understand that. And so that is amazing to me. But definitely, Shatter, I could see your point. But I'm curious, y'all. So I have seen before that you talk about a lot of different distros that you use. Was there any distro that you preferred besides, let's just say besides Linux Mint? There's any other distros that you preferred this year in 2017 and why you like them? Okay, because I'm curious about that, because the last episode that I saw, Rose was on there, Gaza was on there as well, and there were a lot of people were saying they like MX16 or yeah, MX16. Some people like Ubuntu Mate, and also Manjaro as well. So I'm interested if any of you had a preference. What was your favorite and what you liked about it? Okay, so I'm gonna wait if anybody has any comments on that, and I'm gonna continue with some of my distros that I liked in the past, because I've already stated that one. So oh, Joe Panico, hey, thanks for joining, Joe. Let's be fair, the Mint website was hacked because of a very weak, lazy password. Yeah, yeah, wasn't it? Was it a password issue? I can't remember. If it was a password issue, yeah, that sucks. And if I remember correctly, Joe, when this happened, the website was not a SSL website. You know, it wasn't an HTTPS website. I don't think it was before. But after this security problem, it is now a secure website, at least from SSL point of view. Okay, and so it is more secure. But if it was because of a bad password, yeah, that sucks, you know. And that has happened to many other big websites before. You know, like, it's so funny. Like, I think VM mentioned that he is a system admin. Okay, and so if you've worked in big corporations, right, it's like, it's amazing to me, and I understand why, because companies are big, or even small companies, and then it's people, right? And so a lot of times you would set up a whole installation setup, right? Say you did a lamp configuration, right? There's a lot of different passwords, and sometimes people just leave their default passwords in there. And when I saw that myself, because I've worked in IT for a long time, when I first saw that we had like multi-million-dollar servers. We're not talking about small servers. Multi-million-dollar servers. We had Unix servers. We were running IBM AIX, which is another flavor of Unix. We were running Sun servers. We had we also obviously we had Windows servers as well. But every now and then, and more often than not, I would find default passwords on the operating system for production systems, and that blew my mind. Even for some of the dev systems, okay, maybe it's not as bad, okay, but a few of them, I remember it was in production systems. That's crazy. And then it was not just the operating system itself, okay, not just the Unix operating system, but I used to do databases as well as an Oracle database administrator. And I would see people would install Oracle and just leave the default passwords. And I'm like, yeah. And so that's a good point, Joe, because in the real world, it happens, okay? Unfortunately, it does happen, you know, and it happens to some of the biggest companies in the world, you know. And being in IT, I know it is not easy to upgrade, okay? Because people who've never worked in IT, specifically big companies, whenever they see security issues, probably the first thing they say is, oh, why didn't they upgrade to the newest version? Well, because they don't have one computer for one person. They have a server. They have more than likely thousands, if not millions of users using that. And then let's dig deeper. The server has your operating system, right? It has your databases, right? But then they probably have thousands, if not millions, of different applications, web services on there. That's complex. And so if you had to upgrade so that you could get the most secure version, there's a good chance you could potentially break something. And if it's for you by yourself, who cares? But if you are running a production system, and especially your big company where you're making billions of dollars, and all of a sudden people cannot access what they paid for, or they lose information, trust me, your company is going to get, you're going to get into trouble. You know, you're going to get sued, or customers are going to leave you. So with that being said, it is an extremely complex thing. But at the same time, as Joe pointed out, simple things like passwords, man, blows my mind. Okay, and so Joe's saying, I used Mint Mate part of the year and have been on Ubuntu Mate 17.10 for the last 4 to 6 months and love it. I also use Peppermint 8 on a test laptop. Yeah, Joe, I did also, I tried out Ubuntu Mate on one of my other laptops. I have some older laptops, and to me, Ubuntu Mate was probably the second best thing to Linux Mint, because I myself, I do not like Ubuntu by itself. Okay, when I first started using Linux, I loved Ubuntu because it was the easiest to use. It was the easiest for me to come from Windows, and things just worked. Okay, but over time, I just did not like it. Okay, especially when they had the whole Unity engine. I absolutely hated it. Okay, but Ubuntu Mate, in my opinion, Ubuntu Mate, as you probably mentioned there, is, I think that should be default Ubuntu. That's my personal opinion. It's that good. And from the times that I've actually used it, the only problem that I had initially was getting my network working, my network card, my Wi-Fi, which is bad. But then with newer versions, I didn't have that problem anymore. So I really wish Ubuntu Mate was the official version of Ubuntu. I'd probably maybe switch that. Who knows? Okay. Shatter saying Debian-based MX17, yes. Fedora and Solus, OpenSUSE-based Gecko, Slackware-based Solix, Gentoo-based Calculate, Arch-based Arch Merge for newbies of this year and for 2018, in my humble opinion. Oh, that's awesome, Shatter. I like the ones that you listed because it's in a variety of different places. Okay, so MX17, I think MX17, Fedora, and OpenSUSE, and I would even say Solus. Those are very similar to Linux Mint in the sense that once you get it installed, a general user could just use it. So I think versions like that, they make it easier for people to move from Windows or Mac over to Linux. And then for the more technical people, Solix, Slackware, you know, is really bare bones. Okay, it's more like in line with like Arch. It's more for the techie people. Okay, Gentoo, I've never used Gentoo. And you know, that's so funny, you talk about Arch-based distros. There's a lot more of them now, and that's really cool. I mentioned this before, but my brother loves Arch. He just uses pure Arch Linux for his development environment. So Shatter said, after hack incident of the Linux Mint web ISO were tampered with malware. Yeah, yep, exactly. Shatter, in the end, whatever distro you're using, it's all by yourself, and that what fits your needs, then use it. Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Joe Panico is saying, I am also now testing MX17 and I think it's an up-and-coming distro as is Solus. So I'm curious, Joe and Shatter. I've seen videos of MX17 and Solus, but I've never downloaded MX17 and used it. If you could leave any of your comments, because I know it looks like an easy to use version, but maybe for people who might be interested in MX17, was there anything like specifically that you liked about it? Okay, maybe you could leave that in the comments area below. And other than Linux Mint, in the past, the versions that I like, and I have mentioned this before, I did definitely enjoy Fedora and OpenSUSE. Okay, and so Fedora, for people who are not familiar, it's basically the Red Hat. Red Hat is actually behind Fedora, even though it's open source. That's basically their free version of Red Hat, okay, because they do commercial Linux, okay. And then OpenSUSE was part of Novell back then. But the reason why I enjoyed Fedora and OpenSUSE, because they were around for a long time, they were also very easy to use. Okay, so I actually went from Ubuntu, and then I went to Fedora, and Fedora and OpenSUSE before I found Linux Mint. Okay, so that's kind of how it went. And the reason why I think out of besides Linux Mint, out of those when I used it before, I enjoyed OpenSUSE the most. Okay, mainly because of the looks. I'm not gonna lie, because Fedora, the looks, it just used like standard GNOME back then. It looks better now, but I didn't like it. OpenSUSE had a lot cooler green look, and so I like that. Okay, and after that, I did go back to Ubuntu, primarily because of KDE. Okay, when I first saw KDE as a desktop environment, it was beautiful. It was so beautiful. In my opinion, KDE is still the best looking desktop environment in just terms of looks. I love KDE. Okay, and I did try out KDE Neon a while back. I love the look. The only thing I do not like about KDE as a desktop environment is it's heavy, and so it's definitely not as quick, in my opinion, as something like a GNOME-based one. And also, it is not as intuitive. There's a lot more steps and stuff for certain things. Okay, but in terms of looks, I love KDE. And so, hey guys, thanks for joining. Hi guys, I'm late to the party again. No problem, guys. I'm just thankful that you're here. So it's already been over an hour, guys. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to go this for a little bit longer because New Year's is coming up after tomorrow. And I really enjoyed the distro conversation that we had, because I think this would be very helpful for people who are not only new to Linux, but maybe people like myself, like general users. Like, you have people who actually use these other distros, and maybe they might want to try these other ones too as well, for people who actually use it, okay? And so, Shatter says, those distros I mentioned are easy to use, similar to Linux Mint. If you think rolling release, cutting edge, not for the needs, then leave Fedora, OpenSUSE, Arch, and Solus. You can use Fedora Remix, Corora. Okay, and so for people who are brand new to Linux, what Shatter is referring to when he's saying rolling release, cutting edge, so these versions of Linux, they update a lot quicker. Okay, so if you think about your operating systems, there's a new version, right? Like there's point releases, and then there's full-on different version releases. So when you have something that's a rolling release, it's going to basically give you the newest available. So a lot of times these are in beta testing, okay? But the great thing about the rolling releases is there's definitely challenges. So if you're not a real technical person, sometimes that might not be the best, okay? But the great thing about rolling releases is that you could be assured, for the most part, you're always going to be getting the newest version, okay? So it's not quite beta, but it's kind of in between somewhere, okay? So like for a lot of these, like when they have full releases like Linux Mint, then it's not a rolling release type operating system. It's more similar to a standard operating system like a Windows or a Mac, where you have scheduled releases and then they have support for it for X number of years, okay? Which in this case, LTS, or long-term support, okay? So if you are the type of person who is willing to try out newer versions and then not have to think about upgrading because it's a rolling release, and you know, that would be a great place for you. And you'll learn a lot because you're getting new stuff. And so whenever you get new stuff, things tend to break. But at the same time, you learn a lot. You know, you learn how to problem solve. So let me see. Shatter saying OpenSUSE. Yep. Yep. And Gaza saying try using i3WM for distro. It's quick, but the key binding are a challenge. What? I'm not really sure what that is, Gaza. Is that a distro? i3WM? I'm not sure what that means. Is it a tool for a distro? Okay, so Joe Panico is saying, new users have to keep in mind that each distro runs differently on varying hardware. So if a distro seems not so good on your hardware, it does not mean it's a bad distro. Joe, that's a perfect segue into something of distros, okay? Hardware support. So it is very important that the version of your distro is as compatible as possible with a lot of hardware. That's why I love Linux Mint. And this is where it could be a problem. So if you have a distro that is not compatible with a lot of your hardware, things like your graphics card might not work. It definitely will have to use some type of open source version, but sometimes it might not work, or something like, and I've been through all of this before, so I completely understand Linux users who've had this problem. But for new people, if they have those issues, like for example, your Wi-Fi doesn't work, that's horrible, right? Trust me, those people would not want to use Linux, okay? So so it's important for you to have a distro that is compatible with a lot of hardware, okay? And also, besides general compatibility, meaning the most important stuff, your graphics card works so that you can see something on your screen. It supports your CPU, meaning it'll be optimized best for it, okay? And also really important stuff like your Wi-Fi or your networking card, that needs to work. Or in some cases, like your hard drives, you know, some hard drives might not work with your computer, okay, or external drives, because a lot of times some of these external drives, they'll have a boot record in there for Windows, okay? And so besides the basics, then there's other compatibility issues. For example, if you're using Linux, not everything's gonna work in Linux right away because they were built for a different platform like Windows. Let me give you a perfect example. This Corsair mouse or keyboard and mouse, okay? If you can see here, they have an RGB element, right? But the software that changes it is not available natively in Linux, okay? Luckily, in this one, I could actually, the keys themselves, it's actually stored in memory, so I could change the RGB stuff right here, right through the keyboard, see? So I don't even have to use software for it. So that's something I'll talk about later because I didn't know that this was stored in memory. And so these are little things, but it could be big things for some people because you know, whenever you buy something, you want everything to work with it. But unfortunately, in order for everything to work 100%, you need drivers for it. And obviously, Linux desktop is not the biggest platform, so a lot of hardware manufacturers are not going to support it. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And so, with that being said, that's why these distros that people are talking about, there's distros that work really well for new users, meaning they're the most compatible and so forth. But then some of the more bleeding edge ones or experimental, they might not work with everything. Okay, so that's a great point, Joe. Some like Linux Mint run well on most hardware. That's why it's so popular. Absolutely. Shatter Gen 2, pronounced Zen 2. Oh, okay. It's also a rolling release, but more stable without cutting edge support. Oh, thanks, Shatter. Gaza Imp is saying Window Manager. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, Gaza. It's a window manager. Think of a terminal-only desktop which you can slice into many parts. Yeah, that's Arch Linux, which is the same way. There is no GUI. Okay, even more bare bones. Okay. Shatter saying Windows Manager, OpenBox, i3WM, JWM, IceWM, Awesome, Herbal, Slough WM, Fluxbox WM. I don't prefer WM for newbies, but they can start with OpenBox or Ice for Fluxbox. Yeah, and that's another good point, Shatter, because if you're new to Linux, you can watch, I have a playlist for general users. Like my channel is primarily geared towards general Linux users, okay? I haven't mentioned that before. So if you want more technical ones. I do also have, you could look through my Linux list. I have a top 5 favorite Linux channels, okay? And so you could go look in there to find channels that are specifically just for Linux and it's more technical. So if you're new to Linux, I have a lot of videos for people who are new, for the general user. But things like this is a little bit definitely more detailed, okay? I don't think most people even know what a Windows manager is or even what a desktop environment is. But the great thing is, if you start using Linux like all of us did, you'll learn stuff. I mean, and even like this, I didn't know all of these other tools, but I just learned something new. And I've been using Linux for more than 10 years now. And so with Linux, there's always something to learn. And so, yeah, so right now, Shatter and Gaza and Joe and VM, the distro and Lance, the distro that I'm starting to do more with right now is Kali Linux. And I did do a video before where I showed an installation of Kali Linux. But I'm going to get into more of that. And I forgot to mention that. That is one of my favorite Linux distros this year. Linux Mint is always going to be my favorite. But Kali Linux. And why it's going to be one of my favorites is because it allows you to do things that is specifically in this case is penetration testing that actually be useful. Okay, so if you see all these different Linux distros and versions, a lot of times people choose them because of the certain benefits, features, functionality that they provide. Okay. For example, if you're using something like Slackware, right? Meaning you don't want a lot of bloat on your operating system, okay? And so that means your computer's going to run a lot faster and more efficiently because there's less bloat. Or if you use something like Puppy Linux, okay? So you choose the version that fits your needs, okay? And so with Kali Linux, the reason why it's so powerful, I mentioned penetration testing. If you're not familiar with what that is, it's a term in the whole security world, specifically trying to penetrate websites or servers or anything else. You're doing security-based testing. And that's why I love Kali Linux, because it's built in with so many powerful security tools. And so you can really test the security of whatever you have, you know, whether it's a website, whether it's a server, as I mentioned, or whether it's networks. There's so many things you could do. So that way you can identify areas in which you could improve your security. Okay, like I use penetration testing for websites because I do have websites. And I mentioned this before, I am not a securities expert. However, if I use a operating system with tools like Kali Linux, it's easy for me to see where I could have weaknesses in my websites, and then I could go ahead and make the changes to it, okay, and learn how to do it, okay. And so let me see, Kali is cool for pen testing, yep. And then Shatter say desktop environment, mostly GNOME and KDE, but LXDE, EOL within 2 years, LXQT, Qt, which is mini KDE to be awesome, XFCE, yep, and GNOME kiddos are Cinnamon, Budgie, Pantheon, Deepin, GNOME kiddo is Mate. Okay, so let me get out of this because it looks like there's some images that we don't want to see there. Okay, get out of there. Okay. Okay. Oh, and just to let you know what this is here, let me show you. I talk about digital marketing, right? So I just wanted to point this out since I was already on this window. This is Google AdWords. Okay, this is Google AdWords. So I'm actually looking at some, I'm monitoring some campaigns. And so if you're wondering how you see ads on YouTube and all over Google and all over websites, this is it. This is Google AdWords. So this is a side tangent. So whenever you see ads on YouTube, it's through this platform. Google AdWords is the most powerful ad platform. And so if you make YouTube videos, how you get paid? You get paid because people like myself or businesses, we use AdWords, we pay for it. And then when our ads get shown and you interact with it, then Google will take a percentage of that. Then they'll pay you, the content creator. So that's something that's a little bit interesting, but I'm running campaigns right now. And so, let me see. Okay, so the tool can be installed on any distro, but Kali does it in a clear and concise way. Yeah, absolutely, Gaza. All of these tools, you can definitely install them separately, okay? But as you mentioned, it's already built in. So some distros, like there are some distros like, I think there was an Ubuntu based one that was built just for multimedia people. So it had all the codecs, all the software that you would need to install in there as well. And so, Budgie isn't bad and anything, okay. Budgie is based on GNOME and soon will be based on Qt. Yeah, a lot of people are using Qt, and Qt's been around a long time and it looks really good. Qt is good especially for high DPI, yup. And VM, I just got Arch Labs. It looks so freaking hot. Well, I've never heard of Arch Labs. So what does Arch Lab look like? Let me look it up. I've never heard of Arch Labs. That's the first time I heard of that. Let me see. Is it running on a QTE base? Is it QTE base? Okay, let me see. Arch Labs. Okay. Let's see what we have. Arch Labs Linux. Oh, it's powered by Arch Linux. Duh. Let me see how it looks like. Does that have screenshots? Get Arch Labs. Get Arch Labs. I don't see screenshots. Oh, there it is. MD5. Check some. Okay. Well, I don't really see screenshots on the website. See. But cool. Alright, there's always so many ones. You know what? I've never really, let me see. I've never even really been in this, okay, so I've never even been on an MX17 website. Let me see what it is. Ubuntu MX17, so I could kind of get a look at it. Yeah, actually VM, I don't allow links posted on the chat. So it's okay. I trust you. I mean, MX17. Oh, wow. Oh, okay, there it is. Wow. MX Linux. Oh, wow. Oh, nice. So, yeah, MX is a kind of, ooh, yeah, it's, ooh, that looks clean. So, boy, that looks clean. So, does MX use, I'm pretty sure it uses GNOME underneath. And it looks like it uses the Numix theme, the same one I use, Numix desktop theme. Okay. Shatter saying Ubuntu is mostly bloated now, but most popular derivative are bloated free, are bloatware free. Yeah, Shatter, I would agree with you. Like, it is bloated, you know. And I know the next version of Ubuntu, I think it's Ubuntu 18.0. It would be the first version, if I remember correctly, that would not be using Unity. And so I really hope, as I mentioned earlier, I really hope they use something like Ubuntu Mate as their base, you know, for the official version of Ubuntu. VM8, Arch Labs inspired, okay. Arch Labs. I just type in Arch Labs on YouTube. Let me see if I could see how it looks like, because I'm curious. You're saying it looks really good, so let me see. Yeah, so just briefly looking at MX17, I could see why people like it. That looks really clean, and it looks very similar to my desktop, the way I have it set up in terms of the theming and stuff. So Arch Labs, okay. Oh, there it is, Arch Labs. So okay, let's see if I could get a little glimpse of this. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Okay, English Bob has a review on it. Oh, he has his own theme. Wow, that does look good. Well, let me see if there's another. Cool. Wow. Yeah, it looks really good and clean. And so it has a dock. I don't know if that dock is default or somebody added it. But anyway, it looks really good. Good. Okay. So, all right, Lance said I got to go for now. Thanks for broadcast. Happy New Year. Go to everyone. Thank you, Lance. And so it has been almost an hour, 20 minutes now, so I am going to be closing this off. But let me see. Let me make sure I got everything. Okay, Shatter say 18.04 will be used in the Azure Linux kernel. Cool, can't wait. Gaza Arch-based pen testing suites have a lot more tools and often includes one with Kali or Force to remove. Cool. VM is saying Reba Linux. Cool, I might check that out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end up this episode. So the first thing I want to do, as always, I'm going to thank the people who are actually here in the discussion, the live discussion. First, I want to thank Villain Millennium. Thanks for joining. And then also my regulars on the chat. VM is now becoming a regular. Thank you. Lance, of course. We have Shatter. Thank you. And Gaza. Awesome. Gaza, Shatter, and Lance are usually the people who are always on the discussion. VM looks like he's going to be on there as a regular, and I want to thank y'all. And then finally, we have a new person, Joe Panico. Thank you for joining the conversation. Okay, and I also want to, as always, I want to thank all of you. If you're watching this right now, and even if you're watching this later, thanks for spending your time watching these videos and geeking out with us, because I know time is the most valuable asset that we have, and so I'm really grateful that you're spending it here. And as always, if you did get value out of these videos, be sure to subscribe. And if you did want to support my channel further, you could do that at patreon.com/geekoutdoors. And since it is New Year's or New Year's Eve, I also want to tell everybody to do have a happy New Year's wherever you are in the world. Be safe, have a great time, and we'll see you on another episode.